Good evening, Super League fans and managers. I hope you are well. Thank you very much for joining us on this Sunday evening for round three of the Super League. Joining me in the studio tonight is Ryan, chairman of the Super
As
League.
ever,
Evening, Ryan.
good evening, Martin. How you doing yourself? Evening, Super League fans.
And I'm very well. And joining us is a debutant on on commentator duty. Let's hope there's no commentators curse tonight. Dudley manager Stephen Wright. Steve, evening to you.
Evening, Martin. Evening, Ryan. How are you guys?
We're all good and all set, and looking forward to an exciting evening of Super League results. Obviously, the league is starting to take shape a little bit. 2 games in, too early to say much, but there's already some. ah, Rivalries is a strong word, but there's already a few tasty comments being exchanged. So we'll see what happens. Oh, new graphics, says Fifey. Yeah, well, you get one guess at who you can thank for that, Fifey. Um, I think you'll find that it's one of the local managers. Um, Either way, let me just see what's happening here. Uh, yeah, it should be fixed now. Sorry, the grays across the top. Is it better, Ryan, Steve?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's better.
perfect now.
Yeah. For some reason, when there's something on top of it, then yeah, it goes funny. Anyway, back to the action. Um, let's before we start. I mean, we've obviously got the table here as it stands. Maybe not a huge amount to talk about so far. I mean, there's obviously teams at the bottom: Hools without points, Bostock with six. We'll come back to that potentially. But let's have a quick run through the results from Wednesday evening. If we start with Bostock Stanley. Was it a surprise to you, Ryan, to see Bostock go 2 games unbeaten at the start of the season? I mean, we always thought Scott kind of had it in him, but he had inherited a squad that wasn't really his. What do you make of his first 2 games?
Really, really solid. I think the, the takeaway from both games is the kind of how few shots he's been affording the opposition. I think the Dragons only had 2 shots on target. They were largely dominant throughout. Maybe that level of dominance this early, especially in an away game, is quite surprising. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all with the manager. But I think there were a few questions pre-season whether he managed to assemble a good enough squad. Um, Castroman, relatively new to the Super League, Titov, Joe Pinto, a few players that basically never really played in, week out in the Super League, and obviously Zinedine Zidane. So um, yeah, I think he's had a really, really strong start, and yeah, he should take a lot of credit for that.
And obviously happy with Andre in goal. A little bit less so for Dragons with the 3 manager setup, but they've obviously got plenty of time to improve, and at least it's a much better start than the one they had last season. Could hardly be any worse, to be honest. So not too bad for them. If we're looking at the next result, so Fulchester, so they had uh, I mean, they were dominating the game, but they left it late. Steve, what do you make of Fulchester and that late victory they got against Hools? Hools, who are now on 0 points for 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know he's playing his team down quite a lot, but I think, as everybody's alluded to, I think he's got a very, very good squad, and he's obviously shown his capabilities from where he came from to get to grand final last year. I think in terms of Hulls, I think they've been a bit unlucky in both the games. They've certainly got enough firepower to get themselves off the mark, but yeah, I definitely think Colchester are going to be in and around six, as much as he don't care to admit it.
Yeah, well, the manager's obviously shown his capabilities last season. He wasn't entirely happy with the draw, allegedly, but he does. I think he does put on a good show. Obviously, then we've got the game between the Gazelles and Lettersford. So Gazelles 3-0. Craig, one of the guys who had a bit of let's say a weaker side in the last couple of seasons. Apparently, Ryan, what do you make of that result? I mean, Hodges. I mean, Arsenal last season were a little bit hit and miss, but they had a very good start to the season. Not so this year.
Yeah, it's a bit of a surprise result, really. I think that again, similar level of dominance where I think Leicester only had 1 shot on target in the entire game. Gazelle's solid throughout. I think a lot of people really like the squad. A few Super League winners in there, as well as Roy Keane. Maybe surprisingly, the goals coming from Nicholas Medina last
True.
week. Yeah, he's not not really someone who's featured regularly in the Super League in the past. I think he got a 10 and 2 goals at the ripe young age of 19 years old. So, yeah, Craig obviously very happy. I don't think it's time to hit the panic button just yet for Hodgie, though. He's had a couple of players out injured. Sheffield may have him on teleback this evening. And he'll be hoping for a better performance from Taibbi as well.
Yeah, I mean the goalkeeping position obviously was a bit of a tricky one for many managers last season. I think Fabian Barthez has really stood out so far, and Andre for Bostock as well. But a bit of a mixed bag. But we'll see how that changes. Next up, it was Haggis Hunters 1-1 draw with Northern Burn. Haggis Hunters, Steve, the goalkeeper, Canizares came on. I think Casillas got injured early on. 2 games in for Haggis Hunters, and their keeper's been man of the match in both of them. Are you surprised at the start they've made to the season, and what can Northern Burn do? I mean, are they have a strong squad as well, but Ian has struggled to get a tune out of a similar squad last season. What did you make of this game and the result?
Yeah, I mean, I think I guess have certainly got they're on the place they are slightly lacking. I think as everybody's had words about is up top. Obviously Salas scored against me on last Sunday, but they are, for me, they haven't created masses, but I think that a lot of that stems from how strong they are in the defensive midfielder area. They could do with a little bit more creativity going up forward, and obviously, like I say, Ian's got a very good side, and I think Crespo makes his debut today, which he could make a massive difference for him. But again, I think Haggis have got away with being the lesser side in both games personally, and got 2 results out of it. So once they start clicking and get on top in games, I think they could prove as much of a threat as they did last season.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see how they get on, and a fairly even match there. Northern Burn, obviously the only side with 2 draws so far, and then we had Lokomotiv Boston 3-2 winners at Churchtown. Left it a little bit late, but it was a victory for Greaves, and the new boys there finds himself in third after a good start to the season. Ryan, 2 goals for who was it again? Was it?
I think
sorry,
Effenberg
it
got
wasn't.
one in the first half, then Elber and Kutuzov, I
Yeah, it was
believe.
the 3. It was the 3 sort of like. I mean, doubts were perhaps cast on the front lineup of Boston, but he got goals out of them with Elber and Amoroso and these guys.
Yeah, a lot of people have downplayed his team. I think there's a couple of weak links in there. It's definitely an aged midfield that he puts out, with the exception of Kutuzov. But I think there's a lot of quality in there. Obviously, he's got Cannavaro and Barthez in the defensive areas. But yeah, behind twice in that game to kind of come back twice, 2 goals in the last 10 minutes, never give up attitude. Yeah, I really like that from Boston. I don't think it's panic button times for Churchtown though. I think both teams are very capable of doing all right this season.
Yeah, and Ryan, I'll come to you again so I can ask Steve about the last one. Sloss against Aster. Aster's not scored yet. It's not the great start to the season for them. Spartak Sloss, obviously, with sort of joint management with Joe Palmer coming in there helping out a little bit as well. Sloss have made an okay start to the season, but the real concern has got to be for Aster Athletic, haven't it? With the new strikers. I mean, Shevchenko's in there, but now they're not getting goals. They were getting goals with lesser strikers last season. So what's going on at Aster, do you think?
He's just sticking with that very narrow formation. A lot of kind of solid defensive midfielders, kind of Liverani, Guardiola, Kluzny, Lennon, and then obviously playing that narrow, you kind of open yourself up to attacks down the flanks. So it's that midfielder not getting the ball to Shevchenko and Henry, which I'm sure they will do at times. Whether I'll stick to this formation going forward, I think we'll see whether he sticks with it tonight. On the opposite side, I think from this game altogether, it wasn't a completely one-sided game, but it was very much the Zé Roberto and David Collins show. Obviously, I have singled out Collins as maybe not being Super League quality, and then
he scored 2 goals.
Yes, I think the real star of the show was Zé Roberto, though. I think he got both assists and a 10.
Yeah, he got a 10. I'm sure on that one.
Yeah, pretty much unplayable, which obviously works. That's what Sancaster in the end, but I don't think that necessarily was a very one-sided game.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and last up we obviously have Devils against Dudley. And Steve, what do you make of your miraculous comeback there? I mean, that didn't look to be on the cards when you had that red card, did it?
No, certainly not. I think, as I said on Piper's show, obviously I had next to no luck in the first game, and then I've pulled all my luck back out of the app this time round. I was very shocked by the result, if I'm honest, but it was great to get that first win off your back, especially just coming into the league. It just again, as soon as that red card went up, my heart was in my mouth, and I thought, oh, here we go. But to be fair, Ronaldo, I've only ever had him a couple of times on home saves, and I never get a tune out of him. So to see him get 2 goals as well, I were delighted with that. And obviously Viduka, after having 6 shots on target and not putting one away a week before, I was glad he got his name on score sheet as well. I were obviously running running risk with taking Mr. Anelka on and off and what have you. So and he don't get a game today, so I should imagine the sulking will start fairly shortly.
What's the feeling on that? Obviously, I'm a Bolton fan. I'm a big Nicholas Anelka fan. For all of it, I know he can be a frustrating player to manage, but if you get the tune out of him, then he's potentially fantastic. Is that it for him now? Is he frozen him out already after 45 minutes of football, or
Oh, no.
is he very much your third choice with Ronaldo and Viduka ahead of him, or have you not made your mind up yet?
To be fair, if I were in my heart of hearts, but I actually brought Ronaldo in from Spartak in idea of playing him AMC. My idea were mainly going to go one up top for the season, and so Elka were actually my second choice striker. Ronaldo only went up top because I went up with 2 rather than 1. Again, I'm saying with you on this game, if he starts firing for you, he can get an absolute outfall of goals. He's not somebody I overly noticed in league last year, but I'm hoping that he'll come to the fore and obviously start performing as he can do on home saves. But again, it's very difficult judging home saves against coming into something like this, isn't it?
Oh, of course, yeah. For me, kind of, I've just been a fan of the player, kind of thing. I hope he gets a bit of game time this year, where he's been lacking it maybe in previous Super Leagues. I think last season it was very. I think he kind of got dropped after a few games, and then we never saw him again. So
Yeah, I think he played a bit of a part for Hooligans, but he never really scored. And then eventually he just got angry and I think got sold to Europe. I think there's 1 or 2 managers who were in for him actually. Who if we had continued with the old save, that would have been in with a bid for it because he was obviously No, he went to Brazil. That's right, he went to Brazil, Grêmio or somewhere where he was obviously unhappy again. But there were actually people asking for him, so we could have perhaps have seen him back in the last iteration. One question, if I could ask, I appreciate that people are just eagerly in the comments, probably eagerly anticipating the action. I just want to ask you, Steve, Tony Adams, it got a 9. You're quite happy to keep risking the old legs there.
Yeah, I think your first season, obviously, I think me and Ryan spoke about it at time going through. But I think there's a few defenders that your first year you get an absolute great year out of them. Tony Adams, Martin Keown, Radaby to an extent, even though he's only 32 on the start of it. I think as a first season in bedding into the league, and I don't think Ray and Rustico start with the best of ratings at the start of games. So obviously, if you give them the first season, playing a few games between them coming through, time to develop in time for next season, and then obviously I think Adams, he probably won't see any time next year, but it's just as a starting point really, and just trying to give us a bit of solidarity back.
Yeah,
I'm on that point. I'm obviously the Destai players. What do you call it? Maldini would play at quite an old age. I'm surprised that we don't see more game time for players like Henning Berg and Ronnie Janssen. I think who are both solid at the start of the game.
Yeah, but I think Henning Berg has had a couple of games, or had 1 game so far at least, maybe playing tonight as well, if I don't remember entirely.
Yes, I think you might.
Big old Ronnie Johnson, who according to Alf is one of the best defenders at the game at the start. certainly according to the scouting tool or whatever. But yeah, we'll see if we see any of them. Either way, here's the lineup for this evening. We're going to go top to bottom because Dudley Hill is automatically last because they are obviously the co-commentator in the studio tonight. So we're saving them for last. So I hope you're ready, guys. We'll kick this off, and the first one we're going to look at is Astra Athletic against Lokomotiv Boston. So let's have a look here if we can get this to go. So if we have a look at the Astra Athletic lineup first. So Ryan, I'll come to you first because you mentioned this already. It's the narrow formation and a familiar looking lineup here. What do you make of Astra and their chances with this formation?
It needs to kind of click through. And this is the third week he's gone unchanged. Obviously, it's only week 3. A draw and a defeat so far. I think he's been maybe mildly second best in the previous 2 games. So I'd like to think that if this doesn't work tonight, then Alf might think of switching it up. Obviously, I've not been getting any goals in the back of the net first. I think it seems like quite a defensive formation, in my opinion. So yeah, he's got plenty of players there. He's got plenty of options. So yeah, it might be that tonight he blows his opposition away. If not, then I think he needs to start looking at something else.
Yeah, well, he'll be up against a motivated Lokomotiv Boston side who obviously had a good result last time out, and this is how they line up with Cannavaro, Lausen at the back, Kalatse, Petit, etc. Steve, what do you make of your fellow newcomer and his start to the season, especially the front 3? I'm interested in, and maybe a word or two on Effenberg as well, if you don't mind.
No, definitely. I do agree with what Greaves is doing with Effenberg. He's always one of mine after the first season. I always try and get him in for a year on home saves. I think, to be fair, coming into a league and getting 4 points in your first 2 games at Super League, I think he's done absolutely amazing job. I think he alluded to it in show tonight. He feels a little bit hard done to with people's because of his transfer business. But I think his squad's very strong, and for I like what he's doing in terms of going with players he likes on home saves rather than trying to go with players that he's seen that have really done it in Super League as well. And it's obviously paying off for him at the minute.
Yeah, I mean it's a brave move, but definitely interested. I don't think anyone expected to see Apgar Barsom getting a getting a start in the Super League. Even Gustavo Lopez is a bit of an unknown quantity, along with Effenberg, obviously. Kutuzov, more familiar face, and then Amoroso and Elbow up front. But we'll have a look at and see how they get on tonight. Eric Addo is going to have a squad number there, so that's fine. Oh my goodness, those color combinations. Anyway, your predictions for this one, Steve. What do you think? Home win or Lokomotiv Boston continuing their decent run of form?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of having DMCs in centre midfield. There's only 1 or 2, in my opinion, that can really pull it off in Gerard and Mendier. So I fancy Greavy to sneak off at line here.
Mm-hmm. And Ryan, what do you think, Asta? Will this be the evening where they break the duck and Shevchenko or Henry get a goal, or what do you think? How do you see this one going?
I do see this. I think I say this every game I get asked, but I think score draw. I think there'll be goals. Interesting to see Jeremy Oliphant is back in. He's not shy of a red card.
That's true actually. Yeah, we could have checked referees prior to that. Yeah.
So a score draw. Yeah, I hope Alf gets off the mark tonight in terms of goals. And yeah, I can see Greaves is having a bit too much down the flank.
Right, well, we'll kick this one off and see how it goes. Asta Athletic at home to Lokomotiv Boston. Asta looking for their first goal of the season. Let's see if they can get it. Oh, we'll just fix the speed. Apgar Barsom involved early on for Lokomotiv Boston. Effenberg as well. Emmanuel Petit, Gustavo Lopez. My goodness, piling on the pressure in the first 10 minutes. Lokomotiv Boston here. Apgar Barsom is going crazy down that right-hand side. Gustavo Lopez again as well.
Again, it's the wings where they seem to be having a bit of joy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Astra are coming back into it now, creating more chances, but good save there by the Boston keeper. And there's Effenberg. Yeah. I mean,
33-year-old centre midfielder who written off at day one, but he's
and
he's there again.
talking about central midfielders, that is it's going to be Simon Davies, hasn't it? That's a straight swap coming in there.
Well, you don't put Rui, because he's the right-hand side of Davis, put Rui Costa in the middle, maybe. No, that's not.
Yeah, that's probably a decent suggestion. We'll see if Alf is on sack the manager. The question is if you want to swap Davies and Rui Costa, Alf, not what you want to do with the manager. I mean, we can even run it till halftime and then do the swap then if.
It's only a minute away from halftime, isn't it?
We'll do it. We'll run it up to halftime then, and we can do it. Leave them both, no good. Well, there's a lot of negativity from the bench coming tonight. Let's have a look at that's a fairly even first half. I mean, on the face of it, I thought Boston had the most chances. What do you reckon, gents?
It definitely seemed like that from the text. I'll let Steve go on. And just a quick question to the Alpha Nick Greaves in the comments if they want any halftime substitutions, get them in there now.
Oh yeah, okay.
Ego Greaves there.
I was going to say I didn't see 6 chances for Aston in there. If I'm honest, that's it's a lot more even than it definitely looked.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking down in the passes completed and tackles won, it's fairly even so far. In terms of distribution, the same as well. Aston have more of the possession. I can see Tristan for Henry there, so we'll get that done. Let's have a look and see how the goal came about. Loose ball, Gustavo Lopez chance out from the left-hand side, and then Effenberg coming through the middle with a speculative effort.
Yeah, solid.
Aston Athletic, in terms of performance of the players, Steve, what do you make of that first half? 2 key passes, one for Rui Costa, one for Guardiola, but lots of 6s and 7s and a 5 in there for Hippie as well.
Yeah, I don't think Hippie has helping matters back there, is he? But then again, they've only had one shot more on target of Boston. But I think he's certainly going to have to get that back line, getting the fingers out a little bit. And obviously, Shevchenko's had little to next to no ball, same as Henry. I think that goes to show a little bit with the with narrow formation, not getting any ball up there to him.
Yeah, and with the, I mean, I know he has the arrows on the central midfielders, but there is that bit of a gap there, I think, between them. I'll just do the Tristan for Henry sub before I forget. Nothing for Greaves in terms of substitutions. Let's have a look. So Bartes, who I think is on he's on 8.5 already. Bartes, who Astra actually had to let go last time round because of his disruptive behavior, proven to be an important player, and Cannavaro as well, as we saw for Palmouth and Icos. Anything else that stands out for you, Ryan, in this first half performance by Boston?
I think going forward, they've not really offered too much. Looking at Kutsov, Elba, and Amaruso, not touched the ball that much. Navas Lopez. Barson's been involved quite a bit. Obviously, it's like a bit of a loose ball and a bit of a solo effort from Effenberg. So maybe slightly lucky to be in front. Obviously, you expect Cannavaro and Bartes to be having good performances. I just spotted the substitution there in the comment. But yeah, I think he'll be happy to go into halftime in the lead. And let's see what they can both do in the second half.
Yeah, I think Scott said there's something about the thing being a little bit lackey, but it works in Norway and in Barrow, so so I'm not sure what the problem could be. So sorry about that, Scott, but it looks as if it's okay for everyone else. Let's see if Aston can find a way back into this. They're obviously still looking for the first goal of the season. See if Tristan can deliver that. He obviously had a couple of good sort of runs at Ardsley, but never really the most consistent of goal scorers in the time he was there. Yellow card for Cannavaro.
Astra come out really strong this half, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Neil Lennon's made a couple of times.
3 or 4 good chances.
No goals of yet.
Yeah, a couple of good chances. 3 or 4 good chances there in the beginning. Bartes obviously doing a good job. Hope I haven't jinxed him now, but oh, I did. Very good. First goal of the season for Liverani. Maybe not the source you were expecting from goals in terms of Aston Athletic with someone like Shevchenko in the lineup. But there's Elba. There is Elba. Is that the ex-Bayern star link-up play that's going on there? Aston trying their best to get back into it, but nope.
Like against the run of play, that.
Stays 2-1. Let's have a look at that. Oh my goodness, Asta really came into it in the second half, but they just couldn't get past Bartes. That could be a possible man of the match performance down there in the Boston goal. Let's have a look at the distribution. Fairly even. Asta again with a huge amount of possession, but yeah, I think Bartes has probably had a bit more of a bit more than just a word to say in terms of this. Let's have a look and see how the goals came about. Um, Rui Costa into Liverani. Seen Rui Costa do good things for Astor before, and Liverani obviously got the goal, but then that wasn't to be because Amoroso came there with the cross, and it was Elba who made the ball and scored actually and secured Boston the win. So back to what? Back to you, Steve. You can maybe explain to me why Guardiola's man of the match. Any idea?
I mean, obviously he's got some good numbers there. His tackles won. He's obviously won. He's won a lot of headers. His passing nigh on complete. That's it's an head scratcher. If I'm honest, it's well, I don't know how Bartes has got away with it, not getting man of match, like you said.
Yeah, it's got to be a 9 for him as well, isn't it? I mean, 11 shots on target and only one actually went in. An assist for Rui Costa, who I think Alf likes, and he joined him from Berlin last time out and did a good job there. Shevchenko, he does have 4 shots, so it's not as if he's not involved. He's just not able to put it past the opposition keeper. Ryan, Fabian Barthez doesn't get man of the match. He's only on a 9 and a bunch of 7s as well for Greavesy. A bit of a champing here. Is that fair to say?
I think Champion would be a bit strong, but as their dogged second half performance kind of drowned the results out, really. Although they were under pressure a lot, I didn't really see Alf getting 5 or 6 goals in this game. Therefore, he just needed one more in the second half to get it through. He was delighted that the Brazilian partnership going forward, Amoroso and Alba combined for that goal.
Mm-hmm.
Effenberg continues to answer the questions. I think you'd probably, with the amount of ball they've had, you'd maybe expect more down the wings from Lopez and Barson. Don't seem to have delivered too much in the form of chances, but they've had a lot of the ball. But yeah, obviously you can be happy with Barthez and Cannavaro and happy that he's got the win.
Yeah, I mean, 3 points on the board. You definitely take that at the start of the season, especially as a newcomer. We both know how difficult it could be. I think I didn't win a home game in 13 attempts, and your start to the season in your first season, Ryan, wasn't that much better. Obviously, came good for you in the end. I never stuck around to find out, but either way, good result there for Boston, and and a poor result for Asta, but at least they got a goal. I guess that's something for them to be pleased about. Next up in the running order tonight is Bostock Stanley. They're at home to the Sloths. So let's have a look and see how they get on. Let me see if I can.
Mr. Wright, I think Oliver is in the chat. Can you see the chat itself?
No, because he's robbed my phone.
He's fine. Anyway, I'm just trying to look at. He seems to be a bit confused about what people are talking about.
Oh, that's good. Fair enough. Let's have a look and see what are we doing here. We're doing Bostock Stanley against Spartak Sloth. So let's first have a look at the Bostock Stanley and their tactics and lineup. As a I will not say that I'm an expert on the game, but Scott's really turned it around, and I know the amount of miles that he puts into this. Ryan, what do you make of Bostock Stanley and their start to the season? We touched on that briefly in the beginning. I think we're both quite impressed with what they've done so far.
Yeah, I'm also quite impressed with the business. So, after the first round of the draft, I think he was a bit gutted that he kind of had a raw deal, but he got a few really key picks when it came to the marquee end of the draft. Obviously, none more so than Christian Vieri going forward. I'm a bit surprised this week that he's dropped T-Top after he got the goal last week. He switched Zidane over to the right-hand side. I mean, I think it's so far so good with Zidane, and I hope that he continues to get given the opportunity where it's been lacking for him in the past in the Super League. I like the formation. I like a fair chunk of the players in there. I'm not too sure about Castraman or Mileski season one, but obviously they're both solid players, so it might just be my preference over evidence there. So yeah, I'm kind of with Wooder on this one. Maybe not a Zidane hat trick, but I think he'll might have a bit much for Slav.
Titov should be on the bench. I mean, but that's instead of who? Because it's not too late. We'll just put him on the bench.
It might have been my mistake, this one. Paredes, I believe. I don't think Paredes is on the bench. I might have clicked the wrong person.
We will have a look. We'll have a look what Scott says. It's not too late, Scott. If you have any changes to make, then obviously let's hear it, and we'll swap him around. Paredes.
Yeah, Scott, I offer my apologies there. My mistake.
Oh, for once it's not me. That's great. There we go.
Yeah, I quite like that you're doing this, Martin, where you kind of clicked into the squads before you clicked into the game. So if anyone's in the comments, then they can correct that mistake.
Yeah, learning from some pretty severe one. I think my proudest moment was when I played when I didn't put any subs on for Ardsley and just clicked into the game. So it's a good way of just double checking. Anyway, we're digressing a little bit here. Let's move on with the action, and let's have a look at the Spartak Sloss. And Steve, I can get your opinion on their start to the season. They obviously had a good 2-0 win against Asta last time out. Perks of talking to Lions before continuing to the game. Yeah, exactly, Scott. So Spartak Sloss half decent start to the season. They've got a win. They've not done too badly. They've got David Collins scoring 2 goals. What's your take on Sloth and their start, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, obviously anybody that did watch it, obviously it had nothing to do with anybody with any abilities or anything. I just thought on paper, I thought their squad probably looked one of the weaker ones in the league. But again, I think everybody's talked about having a couple of players to tie the superstars together, and obviously with Scally and Collins in there, getting them playing regularly in Super League, they're showing their worth. I mean, obviously, I know Scally came in and out for Midlothian last year. Collins didn't get much of a look in, but they've just been proved right by putting them in amongst some really good players, and you can't knock start they've had considering. And I think it's obviously with having Joe on side as well, who's obviously experienced at this level, can only be a good thing for Rob.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'm obviously interested in see if Episan gets some goals in this one, but we'll have a look at what's going to happen to this one. Oh, thank you for a viewer from Brazil who's already left a like. Very good. Thank you very much. Predictions vary from the 8-0, etc. A couple of mainly home wins. What do you think, guys, in this one here? Home win, Stee or Sloss are gonna with Scally and Collins are just gonna be too strong for Bostock, or how do you see this one?
I'm struggling to see past Bostock again, if I'm honest. But they've got a lot of defensive players where Scott's not got a lot of players up in AMC and up front, so they could negate it and maybe try and get some on break going back.
And Ryan, for you?
Oh, I think it's got to be 1-0 to the Bostock.
Well,
as much as I'd like to see David Collins named in live again, but yeah, it's 1-0 to the Bostock has been the flavour of the season so far.
Yeah, taken over from neighbours Ardsley this season. They were the 1-0 specialists last season, I think. But let's have a look. Let's see how this one goes. Good start for Bostock. Milevski, Riquelme, a couple of other players involved. But Spartak Sloss are coming straight back at them.
Casterman's name mentioned a couple of times there. Yeah. I can see Zidane getting involved.
Scally of Zidane having to get past Scally. That's going to be a challenge for him. I know I have a lot.
Is he Super League quality? That's a thing that Scott's looking at the moment. Everyone that I question their Super League credentials, he puts them in the squad and proves me wrong. So.
Yeah, could have been a great goal for Vieri there apparently. But is it Ashley or Joe? I got this mixed up in the first week.
It's young Joe Cole in midfield.
It's young Joe Cole in midfield. He's up there with the first goal for Bostock Stanley, and that's the 1-0 complete, I guess. That's just a question of holding on until full time then. So it's going to plan according to Bostock. Oof, they definitely got this under
Definitely
control.
go,
Definitely.
definitely going to plan. They've absolutely dominated that first half, haven't they? It looked like it on the text as well. 80% passes completed. Really, really solid, and they're not Sloths obviously aren't getting enough pressure on the ball, not having enough possession and not creating anything.
It doesn't really look like it. Action zones, yeah, huge. 59% is huge in terms of possession in this game. Let's see how the goal came about. Oh, it's just a bit of a solo effort for. Hit the ball 30 yards ahead of him. Controlled.
Wow.
Hit the ball 30 yards ahead of him, and he still has somehow managed to control it on his chest. That's fine. Nothing to see. Move along. Nothing to see. Anyway, Steve, what do you make of Bostock in that first half?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's unbelievably solid again from Scott. That formation's really, really working for him, and obviously Zidane, I think he could have been up for grabs for anybody really, considering what everybody's seen in past incarnations of it. So for him to put his faith in him as well has been good to see. And no, you can't not where he's going. I was surprised with how much Casterman's involved. He's only sat on a 6 so far, but no, most of the players are completing most of the passes, and they're just being solid front to back, to be fair, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely have done. And in terms of slots and what they've offered, it's not been too bad for them either, but just not as good. And obviously, actually getting shots on target has proved a real problem for them. David Collins definitely not living up to his performances from last season. Although Scally is still playing a very dominant role there. He was actually, to be fair to Scally, he was atrocious in the first season for Haggis, for Midlothian last year. But he's gotten off to a better start for Sloths. What what can we expect in the second half from Collins and Scally? A comeback, maybe?
Yeah, for me, that's. I mean, I don't like making predictions like this because often come back to bite on the arse. But I just think that those attacking midfielders, when you compare them to a lot of other teams in the league, I don't think Recover and Collins are the same level. Obviously, Collins proved me wrong last week. I think that Zeraberto's going to get you chances. I think that, defensively they're really solid. It's whether they can create and score enough. And I think there's a real issue there.
Yeah.
Just that. He's made a half-time sub, I see, yeah.
Yeah, Sand goes off, Palermo comes on. I was gonna say I didn't see Scott say anything, so I don't know if he's hiding behind the sofa or something like that. But he hasn't made any requests for halftime subs. So we'll start the second half. If he changes his mind, he can obviously give us a shout and we'll stop it. But we're gonna run with it and see what happens in the second half.
Oh, Oliver's freaking in a few emojis in the comments.
I hope maybe he's just pointing out that that Recoba should really be recognized for being Super League quality. Could this be Bostock dropping points? They have got 13 minutes to put it right. It has been more of sloths in the second half. They've had a couple of good chances there. Let's see if anyone can come up with a last minute winner. It looks as if sloths are slightly the more dangerous side in the second half.
Seeing Andre's name quite a lot there.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of saving. Oh, and it finishes 1-1. It finishes 1-1. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Not sure what to say to that really. I mean they obviously came back into it second half slots, not the most effective in terms of getting shots on target. Let's see how Recoba's goal came about. Scally getting an assist, obviously. Sloths wobbed. Did they? Oh, yeah, fair play to Sloss in that second half. I mean, they didn't have too much to offer, but what they did was obviously enough for the for the equalizer. Milevski did an okay job in terms of that. Just a little bit of a shame that they perhaps couldn't get more out of the strikers. Steve, I think, did you see anything in the second half? They didn't really do anything wrong, did they, Bostock? They just couldn't get that sort of like the final goal, or just get it over the line, or seal the deal, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty obvious that they didn't have many chances going in, looking into the stats from not seeing what were popping up. Like I say, everything was Spartak, especially at the start. But yeah, you've got to take it out to Rob for pulling that result out. To be fair, after going 1-0 down, because it's especially against a side that's been as defensively solid as Scott has so far as well. Even still conceding 1 goal in 3 games it's a record to be pretty proud of.
Yeah, and I mean, still, sevens across the board pretty much, and then a couple of 8s and 7s, so definitely not the worst. And Neil Scally with a 9 and the man of the match. Look at the tackling performance from the young Scot, Ryan. What do you make of that? Potential player of the season.
Yeah, he's made a solid start. He's in that defensive midfield central position, which often throws up good results in terms of match ratings. Defensively, he'd be disappointed in Desai and Gamara, even though they only conceded the 1 goal. I think he'd be really happy with his second half performance, considering how poor he was in the first half. But it just seems to be, again, as he kind of alluded to, does he have the firepower up front to potentially get 2 or 3 goals? And the fact that he's not getting many shots on target is a concern.
Yeah, well, we'll see how he develops. Obviously the squad, but as you mentioned, there are not a lot of squad shots on target. Recopa just with the 1, but still a decent enough performance from Slots, and obviously a point away to the league leaders, the 100% record broken. So that's it. We're only 3 games in, and there are no 100% records left in the league. So that's obviously going to be quite interesting to see how that pans out for the rest of the season if it continues to be that even. Let's pick it up a little bit in terms of the pace, because next off we're off to see Churchtown against the Gazelles. So if we can have a quick look at Kieran's squad here, and Steve, I'll start with you for this one. Henning Berg and John Terry at the back, Lehman in goals, and the Zanetti brothers. What do you make of Churchtown? They're obviously free scoring in the last iteration of the game, and they do have the league's top scorer with Antonio Lopez, as he's now called, up front. What do you make of Churchtown, their side, and their chances tonight?
Yeah, well, when we were talking on Friday night, I actually said I fancied Churchtown to get a win here. They obviously, I know what happened last week, but they were on top of quite a lot of game as well. Personally, I'm not a big fan of John Terry, full stop, even when he develops having his best stats. But he can throw up fairly good results. And again, I'm in agreement with Ryan where Edinburgh can be very solid. I think it's an extremely solid lineup. I mean, I actually went to Kieran after the deal with Ashley Cole and Davids, just inquiring about Emerton, and it was quite a short, sharp no. But and to be fair, I've never seen him at DMC. It's normally on right hand side, but obviously you can't misplace Zanetti. So, but I think that's on the edge of side that they can get a result here.
And they are up against the Gazelles tonight. So let's have a quick look at them. Ryan, what do you make of Craig's side? He obviously was a big 3-0 victory against Hodgie last time out, and Ferdinand, Lucio, and Deco and Figo. He's obviously got a few of your old players, Dede, Raul, Figo.
Can you come back to me in a second, Mark?
Yeah, of course I can. Well, I can come back to. I'll ask Steve then. What do you make of the Gazelle side? Raul, Deco, and Figo is a bit of an aging. It's not really a Super League kind of attacking front 3. They're a bit of an unknown, not an unknown quantity, but they're not your sort of regulars. What do you make of those front 3?
No, I mean, to be fair, I really like. We were on about it the other day. Players you want to sign and players you want to use. I've never had Raul, so I can't really comment too much on him in terms of what I've had him like. Figo can be one way or the other. There's a reason he moves around in game, season after season, twice in a season. But behind that, there's a lot of solidarity there. Cafu, you could probably play him up front, couldn't you? And he'll still get you 8s and 9s every bloody game. So, and especially the 2 centre halves, they're probably the strongest centre half pairing on paper, in my opinion, in league. And obviously, he did get Roy Keane off me for a deal, which did get quite questioned a little bit. Because obviously, Keane has been a standout in Super League, but no, it's very, very solid, and it's just get a tune out of them front three, and world is oyster. Personally, I'd have gone back with Aga Howard in front of Deco. I've not really seen it from Deco on game, but he's obviously knows what he's doing. He's been in the league long enough, and he'll probably go score a couple of goals now and give me a bit.
Yeah, that's how it goes when you're on for commentary. Your prediction for this one, Gazelles, can they continue their good form? Obviously, they showed last week, or Churchtown, are they gonna bounce back from that late defeat at Boston?
Yeah, looking at the back, especially the back four and the two centre halves, you could struggle to see that front three break them down. So I'm still going to stick with my guns and say a win for Kieran here.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll kick this one off and we'll see what happens in the first half. Obviously, Churchtown doing their best to get back to winning ways and that scoring reputation they had last season. First 20 minutes not been too much in it. A couple of chances for either side. That was a yellow card for Cafu. Zanetti gets lectured.
I'm back, by the way, so you're aware.
Very good. Well, I'll come to you at halftime and get your expert opinion. Yeah, a couple.
A lot of black and yellow.
Yeah, I was going to say chances for both sides, but nothing really. A couple of good chances there towards the end, but not. Okay. Yeah, I see. This is how we're doing it. I thought there was a little bit more in it for Churchtown, but you're right, Ryan. There, the Gazelles is a lot more black and yellow. In terms of possession, slightly in the advantage of Gazelles, but not a lot. We can't see how the goals came about because there weren't any. So this is going to be a quick one. Gazelles' performance, I mean, slightly better than Churchtown, you'd say, based on the number of chances, but not really great either, huh?
Roy Keane, probably apart from outside of his defence, his marquee player. Basically, outside of his defence, not many players have touched the ball. So yeah, I was thinking whether he's got Cafu and Dede pushed up one position too high and they're most effective at wing back or as midfielders. But who am I to question Craig? He's done it in the past. So yeah, I just think it was disappointing with that first half, considering he's had the better of Churchtown and give them nothing, that he hasn't created too much himself.
Yeah, Deco, not seen much of him either. Role a little bit weak as well. If you look at Churchtown, there's not really. It's not much better, is it really? In terms of how many times they've touched the ball. I mean, Imos is kind of involved, but he's on a 6. Any of the managers, obviously, in the comments, Giovanni and for Deco for Gazelles. Obviously, Kieran, if you have any requests, then please let us know. Anything to add from either of you guys about Churchtown and their performance in the first half?
Difficult. One thing I did notice was Rio Ferdinand having 2 of them shots on target, which I couldn't get my head around. But
could have come up. It could have come up for a corner potentially. You never know. What was it? Giovanni in for Deco. Let's have a look. Giovanni in for Deco, who was on a 6. And Pires for Donati for Churchtown.
Pires, midfield.
Yeah. Well, we're trying here. We're trying. Well, we'll see if it gets better in the second half in terms of chances of goals for either side. Let's kick this one off. Let's not dwell too much on a 0-0, and let's see what happens in the second half instead.
We'll see what happens. I like Kieran a lot, but he's a bit of a myth, isn't he? When it comes to, you mean?
Immediate impact from the substitution there. Giovanni coming in for Deco and finding the score sheet just 9 minutes into the second half. Gazelles continuing to have the best of it as far as I can see. Now there's only 13 minutes left suddenly. But you can't keep a good man down. Antonio Lopez with the equaliser for Georgetown with 10 minutes to go, and Gazelles had no reply there. So yeah, it's there's no doubt about who's going to be on the top of the top scorers list tonight. It's going to be that man Antonio Lopez with the only
one shot on target. Ow. Ouch.
Oh, poor pass completion rating, poor heading, a bit of a poor performance from Churchtown there, but they get the point. Lots of play in the middle of the park, really, yeah. Let's see how the goals came about in the second half. Obviously, Giovanni first. Lucio somehow ran
Reach off.
ran the length of the pitch to cross it to Giovanni, and and what happened down the other end? Oh, it was a magnificent solo goal by Antonio Lopez. Shrugging off Rio Ferdinand 3 or 4 times in the process. Let's have a look. Steve, what do you make of that last minute, or not last minute, but almost last minute comeback from Churchtown?
I think it said a lot about towards the end of the game. So I think he sort of scored, and then it just like flashed up full time straight away after, didn't it? I mean, you can't knock start Tom Madeira's after a start, can you? I think considering looking at the stats, I think that's a very, very good result for Kieran, is that?
Yeah, a bit stuttery for a lot of the sides early on this season. So to not lose and to play sort of half decent, and it was only really Donati who kind of let the side down in terms of that six. Everyone else kind of seemed to pick up in the second half. Ryan, what do you make of Craig's away performance there? Pretty happy. I mean, he would have probably taken a point at the beginning of it, but maybe a little bit disappointed considering how much in control he was for long periods to only get the draw.
Yeah, he was disappointed. Disappointed overall with his ex-Phoenix players there, especially that man Rob Douglas, who's conceded his only shot on target. I hate that from a goalkeeper. I had issues with it last season. Yeah, Deco did the right thing in making that substitution at half time. Giovanni's come on and been absolutely solid. Roy Keane, as you'd expect, solid. Lucio, as you'd expect, solid and man of the match. Didn't kill the game off. Figo, Raul not working as you'd like up there. It's one of those, considering the dominance, he'll expected to win that game. So I'll probably have a rethink of his options going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we will see. Oh, we've got another Brazilian. My goodness, they're pouring in tonight. Oh well, that's good. Let's have a look at what we've got coming up next. I think it's Fulchester against the Devils. Let's not do that. Let's have a look first of all at Macca's squad. Let's see if we have those guys on screen. We do that now.
Macca said unchanged, so I don't think we've made any mistakes.
Well, he did have a very good result. I mean, they were dominating the game, but they left it quite late. I think last time out against the Huls Vikings. Ryan, you know Chris Mack, obviously. Rivaldo's goals, a couple of older guys who's maybe not always been top of the game, but then he has got Verong, he's got Rossini in there. I think, did Giggs get 2 goals last week? Was it?
Both goals last week were Giggs goals off Ockham assists. Make of that what you will, kind of thing. So whether they're playing long ball across the pitch rather than up the pitch, but yeah, I kind of agree. He was dominant last week. Probably deserved to get beat week one, even not by a little bit more when he played Bostock. I'm quite a fan of Rivaldo and goals early on in the game. I think they're solid enough. I think they'll create a lot. Obviously, the kind of players which people are used to getting rid of early in the game as they kind of reach their twilight years. But I think definitely worth a whack. Season 1 or 2 in the Super League. Another name you can add to that list is Makalele, who he's brought in to kind of protect that defensive line. I'm not the biggest fan of his defenders, but I know Maka likes him a lot. And obviously Veron, he's probably the best centre midfielder on the game.
Yeah, well, we'll see what they can do tonight. Obviously, they are up against Swindon Devils. This is how Swindon line up. Steve, what do you make of Swindon Devils, and what do you make of the manager's response to the result that they had against you last time out?
Yeah, well, he's obviously, it looks like he's gone back to what he was playing first week where he got a win, which I was really surprised going into a home game. I'm really surprised he changed last week. He's got a heck of a lot of quality though in that squad. I know he plays himself. It's like the matchup where the people playing themselves down is this one, isn't it? More than anything. But again, you look at the attacking quality he's got. And I think going back to 3 centre halves as opposed to leaving Montero out, everybody knows that he likes kicking people and getting himself booked. But I think that's extremely solid from 5 years up.
Yeah, I mean Montero is a guy who he should be. I mean, you would need to have someone very very special for Montero not to be the first man on your DC card, wouldn't it really? And certainly, it's difficult to see the strength of the squad that would not include him is yeah, it's difficult for me to imagine, but we'll see. I mean, obviously, he is, as you say, someone who likes the occasional card. But let's see how it gets on tonight.
He's
Any
done that.
predictions?
He's done that. Yeah, it went five. He's done that thing where he dropped his goalkeeper again. I've noticed Richard Wright starts tonight. I hope that's not a mistake on my part, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Yeah, I just don't understand why he does it. He's got one of the best goalkeepers in the game in Sebastian Gray there. Don't think he was particularly to blame for last week. Yeah, Fifey's dropped him. So yeah, interesting to see what will happen. My prediction will probably be a home win.
And Steve, what do you think for this one? Full chest a win, or can Fifey get back and get to winning ways?
I've predicted 2 wins and gone draw so far, so I think I'm going to go for a draw this time.
Right, let's kick this one off and see how it goes.
Lorenzo Baracchini, refereeing at the C-suite this evening. In dry weather, which is a rarity in the Australian Super League. Looks like Fulchester have had a nice start, although Devils coming into it now.
Yeah, quite a lot of chances in the first 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, I think Kieran Dyer have a pot shot there.
Oh, it's
Igor
Biscan.
Wow. Igor Biscan was probably up there with the most unlikely of goal scorers, considering who's in front of him. In fact, I think there's a good chance for Yepes there as well.
Let's see. No, nothing in terms of goals in the first half. Let's have a quick look here and see. I mean, Fulchester, it's the same as last week, isn't it? They're dominating, but they're not putting the game away. Good performance from them in terms of possession, in terms of chances, in terms of pretty much everything. Yeah, again, 59% possession. Let's see how what happened with Biscan's goal. Was it an offside or something like that? That ruled it out. Yeah, Barong was offside. Barong, of all people, sneaking into an offside position. Impotent attack again. Well, if you put it that way, Maka, then...
In my opinion, he's got 3, I think, Super League. He kind of he divides opinion, to say the least. But yeah, I think if he's going to play a 2-7-1, it's a toss-up really between any of those 3 to start. Probably Saviola probably gets the highest rate. Rossini, obviously, he's got a lot of history in the Super League. Not last season, season before, top goal scorer. Definitely can score goals at a high level in the Super League, but he's not playing badly tonight.
Yeah, and Rossini's goal came as a lone striker as well, so he should definitely be able to do that. If we have a look at the Devils instead, so Richard Wright obviously playing up to a 9. Steve, do you see any way into this for Devils? I mean, they've been under the cosh in the first half, and it doesn't look likely that they'll come back based on this performance.
No, when you're seeing that they've got a couple of, like, you look at Kieran Dyer, who seemed to have his name mentioned a lot, playing a 6, and I think when you went to the action zones and it's 38% up in Swindon half, I think it said it's difficult for the midfielders, etc., to try and get the foot on ball and create something when everything's played in their third. So I think if you can sort of push them a bit upfield a bit more, it might have a bit more joy to try to create a few more chances.
He says some Penta from Mackay, so we'll do that. Happy with current for Maka. So let's kick off the second half and see if Fulchester will continue their dominance and if they will eventually get a goal out of it. But we'll see. We've obviously got substitution there for the Devils. And there's Verong. First goal for Fulchester, as you mentioned, Ryan, earlier on. Oh, but it's Kieran Dyer. Let's not get carried away talking about people. Kieran Dyer with an answer there, coming straight back. And there is Rossini. Oof.
The goals are coming now.
Goals are flying in. This is something that we've been lacking a little bit in the Super League so far. Let's see if we can get another one. 4th goal in one half. That would be something. Richard Wright doing his best. Devils are trying to come back into it, and it's Harry Kewell so late in the game. But it's
Another one.
Rossini. It's Rossini with the goal. Here are all the goals we were waiting for, that I personally have been waiting for. There's not been any kind of crazy days in the Super League so far, but here they are, a 3-2 victory for Fulchester. Oh, that went a little bit crazy there at the end. Let's have a look and see at the stats.
Oh, wow. Yeah, 17 chances again.
I mean, he's definitely creating the chances. He definitely knows what he's doing in terms of the tactics. Maybe he can complain a little bit about some of his players sometimes, but I think he's got a really solid setup there, Maka, with that side. And I mean, 17 chances, 12 on target, 3 goals. He's perhaps a little bit lucky to get the win, not in terms of overall performance, but just of how late it came. Again, a lot of football being played down in the Devils' half, isn't it?
Yeah, Mackie, that would have been an absolute sickener if he hadn't won that game, considering how he dominated and won it in front twice. But yeah, Mackie obviously, he's one of those. He's absolutely delighted, no doubt, with the win, and pretty happy with the performance. But I think he will feel relieved, as you suggested.
Yeah, to get that one. Let's have a look at the Ryan Giggs, man of the match in a 10, 2 assists for him. I'm not going to go through all of the 5 individual goals. We'll just see who actually got the assists. And Rossini, who I don't know if you knew, Steve, but the top Rossini was far and away, I think, the top scorer in the first, not first, in the whatever 2 seasons ago in the Super League. Someone you would expect that from?
Yeah, I really like him. Were it Tim that had him get him scoring? Because I saw a bit of talk from Tim the other day about Rossini and how he got rid of him. But then again, if you look at his stats from first half, he's put 2 away at 3 chances he had in second half, which again you'd expect on him, especially in home saves. So, but he's certainly somebody I'd take him over. I know we were talking about Anelka earlier, but I'd certainly have him in front of Anelka, probably in front of Ronaldo as a striker as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Ryan Giggs, I mean, he was very important for Dragons when he played for Jamie, and it seems as if he's off to a flyer for Maka as well. Down that left hand side, there's not that many better players, is there really, than Ryan Giggs? And it looks as if he can play pretty much everywhere. I mean, people have tried him at left fullback and not left fullback, at left wing back and at sort of a left midfielder, and he seems to be doing equally well in those positions.
He's been their outstanding player so far this season, hasn't he? Obviously, 2 goals last week getting in the win, and obviously the 2 assists this week being instrumental in how they played. Yeah, I think there's a lot more to come from this team. I do think they are going to be liable to a defeat, because I don't think that back line is as strong as some others in the league, in Valgarin and Yepes. But I think that, I mean, I like the idea of the kind of the midfield, Veron, Rivaldo, Scholes. I think it's stronger than a lot of people think it is. That, and obviously with Giggs down that left hand side, similar to Z Roberto, he's going to create the chances. And yeah, I think a deserved win in my opinion.
And Steve, what do you reckon Fife is going to make of this? That's the second week in a row he's conceding 3. That's going to be a bit of a concern, considering the players that he's got at his disposal defensively as well. You see Melberg, Novotny getting 6s there. How's it looking for the Devils and their chances?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that Mackay's getting a start over in Penza for a start. I'm not one of being about players playing. I've never been a fan of Roy Mackay on this game, if I'm honest. But yeah, it's tough for him to take. Going back to, I bet I thought it might be him with a chance playing what he were playing before. And yeah, Oliver, I've heard you typing stuff again, so but yeah, it's difficult when he's got that quality aside, and he created a lot more in that second half. It's a bit disappointing for him, but I think getting back at home in his next game, if he plays a similar formation, I think he'll be all right.
Three at the back, though. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I think it worked out in the first game. Churchtown played three up front, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We're not going to Dudley Hill quite yet. We are going to have Hools Vikings against the Dragons coming up next. So let's have a look at Jens. So obviously Hools are looking for they're still looking for their first points of the season. So let's have a look. He's given up on the old what do you call it?
Narrow.
On the old narrow formation. I was going to check something. Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay. He's given up on the old narrow formation. There's not many narrow formations left. I mean, we saw Fife not having success with a narrow formation in this game. Astor not having success with a narrow formation in his game. Ryan, as someone who's been in the Super League for a while and never really been a fan of the narrow formation yourself, are the days of the narrow, are they numbered?
And these things go through cycles. No doubt they'll be back at some point when teams realise that they play the wide formation every week. They start doing different things with it, and then those formations become susceptible to a narrow formation. So yeah, they do go in cycles, and I expect they'll be back at some point. But at this moment in time, they are kind of losing fashion. I think he did submit a narrow formation earlier on in the week, then changed it before the deadline. So he's obviously had second thoughts about it. Looking across his team, obviously there's some real quality in there. I think he definitely got goals up front with Van Nistelrooy and Pizarro. I like Beckham, I know you don't, so I don't go into that too much. Solid defensive line. Vicente, never someone I've had too much joy out of in the past. So interesting to see what he does. I do like Gerard on the bench who he's got. Danielson out on the left hand side. Again, someone I'd never had too much of a tune out of Danielson, although I have seen on other people's saves, people do like him. But yeah, I think it's a solid formation. I think it's definitely makes his team look stronger with this formation than it did do with Super Narrow.
Right, so let's have a look at the opponent, and it's the Dragon Destroyers. And Steve, what do you make of Dragons? Their start to the season, a little bit sort of like, are they just finding their feet with the managerial trio, or what's going on for the Dragons? They've obviously not had the best of starts to the season in terms of performance. Not been too bad, and obviously losing to Bostock was not a huge disaster, but still, it's a loss at home. What do you reckon that they've got to do? I mean, they've got decent players at their disposal, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've got a very, very good squad. I don't know. It's tough to say because I think ultimately Jamie will have full control over everything. He'll take on because he knows the other two lads are very, very experienced players and get a tune out of stuff that they do between themselves. So, but yeah, looking at the squad on paper, I do think at Super League level, I don't know if Constantino personally good enough. He's a bit of an AI bully for me, and there is a lot of saves where I've had him that he doesn't do it. But that's me personally, as opposed to other people. But looking at the team there's some big players in that team, and yeah, I'm really surprised by their results so far, if I'm honest.
Well, we'll see if they can do it a little bit better tonight. Obviously, they have a decent chance here. Hull's not gotten off to the best start of the season, so at least one of these sides are gonna be looking. Well, they could get a draw, I guess. Which, well, in that case, Hull's will still be in a better position.
Apparently, this week it's Wooder at the wheel.
Oh well, we'll see. We'll see. We shall see.
That's the last year when he put him in by accident. Wasn't it? Was it Nikolai towards the end of last year?
Oh yeah. I put him in, and then by mistake, and then he did really well. Yeah, it can happen. Can happen. I think I put in, was it the goalkeeper?
Paiva did that one.
Yeah, Paiva as well. Yeah, that's true. I've done a few, but we'll see. Mistakes can come thick and fast if we're not careful. Predictions, Steve. Who do you think? Who's getting their first points, or Dragon's gonna find some form?
Yeah, I think again, I think you've got to take the consideration of the game in tow as well. And I think 2 losses so far for Ulls. I think it might just see him squeak over the line here.
Ryan, for you?
Yes, as much as I think this could. I mean, if Hills haven't lost the first two games, I could think this could be a draw, but I think Hills might just nick it.
We'll see if they can squeeze a win. They are obviously going with a wide formation tonight, so that's going to be cause for concern for the manager if the wide formation doesn't doesn't work out. Let's see. Okay, I'll just kick this off. I just seen Macca's comment. Good start for Hools. Couple of good chances for them early on, but Dragons having maybe one or two there as well. And there's Van Nistelrooy. It was probably only a matter of time before we saw him on the score sheet. Let's see if we can if Hools can get a result out of it as well. Oh, it's Batistuta. It's another big name getting the goal for Dragons. And there comes Lee Boyer. My goodness, it's definitely looking as if Dragons mean business tonight with Wooders at the wheel. Let's have a look at terms of the match stats. Oh well, it's a keeper's nightmare. I think Hools were involved in a couple of them last season, maybe Dragons as well. That's never nice to see. You've got 2 shots and there's 2 goals, and yeah, it's not good for either manager in terms of the keeper performances there. Fairly even, a little bit more in Dragons' favor. No changes for Woody at the wheel. Pizarro with a cross for Van Nistelrooy. Jens was about earlier. Batistuta was unmarked. Stankovic with the cross for that, and Batistuta with the assist for Lee Boyer there. Interesting to see. Hools. Any changes for you? Constanzo getting a 5. Everyone else doing kind of okay. Let us know your thoughts, Ryan. Hools.
Yeah, unlucky. Obviously, first half it's been pretty much a 50-50 game. Could have gone either way. The 2 big names in Van Nistelrooy and Batistuta have been the 2 key players, it seems. Yeah, a better performance, I believe, from Hools, if not overwhelming. So, yeah, I still think he'll feel like he can get something out of this game. I think he does look dangerous when he goes forward. It's just whether when he's defending, whether Franco can get his head out of the ground.
Yeah, disappointing to have the keeper doing that for him. He wants Ambrosini off and Gerard on. Gerard that you like as well. In terms of the Dragons and their first half performance, no changes, says the manager. Steve, would you have made any changes? If you're looking at someone like Nedved only getting a 6, Taribo West and Babel not doing particularly well at central defence either.
No, probably not. I think big positive there. Obviously, when you put the screen up before, and Stankovic needed a squad number, so to come in and play that first half like he has done against, I'd say, a very good left winger on the game. So I think we're seeing more. There has been a lot more wingers as opposed to wing backs played this season so far, even in the only couple of games. But he's really stood up to it as Stankovic there. No, I certainly won't change anything because obviously Nedved can turn that round to an 8 or a 9 in no problem in the second half.
Yeah, Baumer, he could have something, could have a bit more out of him. He's not gotten off to the best of starts, but he's I mean, Giggs is obviously doing good on the left hand side. We saw Dede doing it good out there, but Baumer should be realistically in this position with this type of arrow. There shouldn't be many players better than him in the game, should there really?
No, I think he's as good as he is. I think he's got too many positions he can play. I don't like having people. I like a bit of versatility, but I don't like too much versatility where he can just play anywhere, can't he? So
yeah. Once it's 3 different, I tend to agree with you. I think 2 is a maximum. I think once we get into that territory with 3 different defender, defensive midfielder, forward, then then you could just put everything. Yeah, it's you're right. You're right. That might be a case for that. But let's see if he puts us to shame in the second half with his performances, and if Dragons can hold on to this. Obviously, Jens desperately still looking for points. Van Nistelrooy with the goal, Pizarro with the assist. Not enough for them so far. But let's kick off the second half and see how it goes. Let's see if Gerard can do something now that he's come on. Oh, it's Vincente. Anyone else you don't rate, Ryan, really, or have not had much joy out of? Beckham? I'll say Beckham, and we'll see what he does.
Yeah, He didn't. It's his first time he's played Vicente, isn't it?
Oh, and there's you don't want to give a penalty to a team who's got Ibrahim Said in it, and there's Bauma with the Wooders, you're in the comments. You can get El Guerrero on. What would you like here? And we can talk about Said and his penalty taking ability in the meantime, while Wooders makes his mind up on whether he just wants even El Guerrero in there or swap him for. I don't know. What do we do with injuries? Straight swap? I can't remember.
Yeah, he can do a straight swap. He can't change positions.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I think me in this situation, I'd put Taribo out there and put thingy on. Oh, he's fucking El Guerrero in there. So.
Yeah. You want to swap El Guerrero and Taribo West? Does it matter? With 8 minutes to go.
If Woodard wants El Guerrero in there and he's fine, that's fine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Said, when he gets the penalty, he puts it away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, obviously 10 minutes to go now. Definitely looking at Dragons our favourites, and Jens will have that sinking feeling again.
Yeah, it's a big. Oh.
Gerard's injured as well. There must be a clash of heads. Must have been.
Clash of heads. What are we going to do here, Jens? Let's let's hear it. Let's hear it. We can put maybe I don't know.
Well,
I'll let Jens decide what he wants to do. Ibrahim
what can
Said and his
Cordoba play?
penalties.
What can Cordoba play?
Flow in.
He's told us anyway.
Right, okay, there we go. Right, well, let's get the last 10 minutes out of the way then. Let's see if Beckham up against El Guerrero on that right-hand side can do something. A last chance saloon for Hools to get something out of this one. Oh, I'm doing that. Tora under flow. Can he do it for Hools Vikings? 5 minutes left. They had a chance there, but nothing came of it. And there's Batistuta now with a chance. Nope. It's 3 games and still a 0, unfortunately, for Hools Vikings in terms of their results. 3 shots on target, all 3 went in. Costanzo somehow getting a 7 out of that. That's a bit of an awkward one.
Yeah, it's been a tough start to the season. I think that he's definitely got quality in there. I think he's definitely not been massively outplayed in any of the games. But yeah, it's been a same old story as this. I'm glad that we're starting to get some goals coming now. No more quiet games in the Super League, it seems.
Yeah.
Full of injuries. Bauma brought down by Franco in the air. Franco's had an absolute nightmare. It is an absolute weird situation when he gets a 7 after. I think he's let every single goal in, has he? Or maybe -1, and then he's give a penalty away. So to get a 7 is a strange one. He'll be happy with his forward players. Not happy with his goalkeeper. Campbell and Thuram are getting 8s, and as is NDI. So he can't really have too many complaints about his performance this season. In essence, if Franco's had a good game, then he wins that quite comfortably.
Yeah, you would have thought so. Maybe we'll see Rustu for the next one. Steve, you pointed out that Stankovic had to have a squad number assigned, and he turns out to be the man of the match.
Yeah, really, really solid. I mean, I think across board on player ratings alone, I think Hull's edge it, don't they? But I think again, 3 shots on target, 3 goals. It goes down. It's following a little bit of a pattern tonight, isn't it? And I think they'll be extremely happy with that, especially with Wooder at the wheel. It's very, very, very good win for him, and I do think Jens can feel a little bit hard done to by that. As even as it looked nearly exactly identical to the first half with match stats and action zones. So.
Yeah, and just conceding those. I mean, as Ryan mentioned there as well. I mean, Costanzo's had a nightmare getting a 7 after conceding 3 goals and and a penalty is not really great, to be honest. One thing I really like. I mean, I look a lot at these key passes as well to see who's doing well, and obviously Stankovic has really contributed there as well, and say Lee is doing a really good job. I think he was not a little bit overlooked maybe last season, but just due to not winning as many headers, but a solid result for Dragons there, and 3 points on the board for them. We move on with Lettersford against the Haggis Hunters, and I think we've got absent managers aplenty for this one. I think Hodges obviously otherwise engaged. I think I've not seen him anyway, and Ian's not around either. I don't know, or maybe he's just got the comments turned off. So we'll see if Neil has anything to say during the game. Let's have a quick look at Ladisford here. So Steve, what do you make of this?
Wow.
He's going one at the back. Is that where do you stand on? I'm interested from the new manager's perspective. Where do you stand at one at the rear or one at the back, as Joe Palmer made it famous in the last season? Well, sorry, the season before. I think he picked it quite often. Where do you stand on this?
Personally, I think you can massively get away with it in an AI. I think Hodges obviously. I think he said he was working at night. That's probably why he's not here. But I think he's obviously been reactive there to his results. If you look in front of that one, I think they've got an hell of a lot of good attacking quality to score some goals. And the one thing about Agis is they have been conceding chances, so throwing everything up top might actually work here for him. But yeah, it remains to be seen. Obviously, the two times it's been played so far, it's not come to fruition. So it will always work at some point. So why not tonight?
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting. I'm not sure if it's the first one at the rear we've seen this season. Anyway, it's one that
I think Kieran did it, and I think Piper
Kieran
did
did
it.
one as well. Yeah, that I'm not sure it worked out that well. Well, let's see. They're up against the Haggis Hunters, obviously, and let's have a look at their formation tonight. Saha and Ika Casillas out injured.
Jesus.
We've seen this one before. It's the Great Edinburgh Wall. What do you think? What do you think, Ryan?
Oh, he's dropped Dallas, so he can't like him that much. Oh god, how many arrows there? Right, anyway, we can say it week in week out. He's got some quality players there.
Mm-hmm.
Stam and Hopland at the back, really good. Mendieta, Vieira, Zanoni, Zerrick, and I mean, all really good. And you can't see them conceding too many goals this season. I mean, in my pick, they're having probably the least goals conceded this season. But it's will they have enough goals to win the league or to get close to winning the league? Archie back can be hit and miss. Henrik Larsson, really, really good player, sometimes doesn't score enough goals. Enrique Chiesa and Marcelo Salas didn't feature in Super League first teams over the last couple of seasons. So, yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, obviously, he's someone who takes a lot of time to think about his lineups. He's someone who takes, he definitely tries things out. He talks them through with Rox. Rox apparently absolutely loves this formation. It's one or two, maybe four too many arrows for me. But yeah, I mean, I like the players, especially that. I like the back line as well. Anyway, but anyway, whether they can get the goals to see them through this game or the season as a whole. Remains to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strong wall there of those five, but we'll see. He's obviously had to rely on 2 man of the match performances from his. What happened there? No. What happened to the? What happened to the match?
What the hell?
I'm not sure where did that go.
You've not.
I can't select them. I don't know where they went.
Can you click on the game? Oh no. Hopefully it'll come up afterwards.
Well, we'll see. Maybe it'll come up afterwards. Well, Steve, you're up next. I'm not seen that one before. That's a new one for me. But anyway, you're up next, and yeah, you're facing Northern Burn. So let's hear it. Let's hear what your thoughts are going into this. This is I think a few people use this obviously in sort of Super League territory, and in some parts of the community it would be known as the Timmy formation, because obviously the former SLF, Chudley, whatever manager, Tim famously swears by this formation, and you seem to like it as well.
Yeah, it does. It does do what it says in terms of creating chances for a striker. As my first week, obviously, showed against Agis. I just think I created a lot more. Yeah, I know we're down at 10 men against Fife during the week, but I wasn't creating too much in and around it. So, and on the flip side of that, Ian went away from home at Agis and created more chances than them. So I thought I'd try and solid it back up a bit in front of my defenders and see if I can sort of nick one at any point going back forward again. I did go with Archer again up right because I think he got an 8 last week, and I think he's an extremely, extremely solid player, which is Youngberg were probably a little bit unlucky to miss out given my first week and how we played with him on right wing. But yeah, obviously Viduka with his scoring last week, and all talk of an Elka, I did actually leave him out as well completely. So just in case I needed, just in case I need a striker on bench, to see how Tony, if and or when needed, see if it
Yeah,
happens.
well,
But
there is that. Viduka has been a bit, let's say, not hit and miss in the first couple. He had a bunch of chances in the first game and didn't score, and then came on the bench and scored in the second. So you've got your 2 goal scorers in there, Ronaldo and Viduka. Yeah, I mean it'll be interesting to see if you can continue that form. Obviously, the morale in the squad's got to be high after that comeback at the Devils last time out. And but then again, Northern Burns is a difficult opponent to have. I mean they are famously difficult to break down. I mean it didn't have the best run, Ian, as BTEC manager, but always had his side playing well. It was just a little bit unlucky with some of the results. Let's have a look and see how this. Oh man, this seems to be working okay. Let's have a look here. So this is the Northern Burn formation. Ryan, what do you make of what Ian, old BTEC manager, has done with his squad so far this season? They've not had the best results. I mean, 2 draws, but they've been playing well, and they were obviously the better side last time out.
Yeah, I was just going to say that then. Definitely were unlucky last week. You were delighted that Hernan Crespo's back, and he's got a really solid striking partnership there, Crespo and Kesman. Going to be expecting goals from them. I like the formation, nice and solid. Nothing. I mean, not pulling up any trees. It's something that we've seen quite a bit in the Super League, and it's worked in the Super League. Gerard Van Bommel, really good, solid players. He made the mistake, I think, of asking to see Lucas Neal's stats after he'd submitted his team, and they were so. Yeah, I think he said this publicly. I'm not just kind of airing his laundry, but yeah, Lucas Neal may not be as developed as he has been in some other games, but so I think he'll be hopeful of a good performance.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I think he was looking for anyone who fielded players with more single-digit numbers. I think it's actually only. I mean, I don't know. David Collins, he might might not have that many. Antonio Lopez might not have that many, but we'll see. But anyway, your predictions for this one. Let's see if it'll actually go to the game. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, it goes to this one. Steve, I'm not going to ask your prediction because I've had enough of people playing themselves down. So you're an away win. Ryan, what do you make of this one?
It's Northern Burn, isn't it? It's got to be 1-1. Keep it going.
Keep it going well. Good luck, Steve. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's hope there's no co-commentators curse to go with it. We'll kick off the first half and see how it goes.
Are you kind of getting used to the feeling of absolute dread when your game comes up, Steve, where you think, "Oh my God, what's going to happen here?" And goes, "Okay." Up until Roberto Carlos puts one in, that is.
I just had to really hold back there. When that red card went in last week, I was punching couch.
Hey, not a bad start here though. This is incredible.
What you co-commentators curse definitely out the window. Yeah, sorry we didn't really have time to get your comments in there, Steve. I mean, solid first half performance from you. Oh, it's another keeper issue. Oh, that's harsh. 16% of the headers won for Northern Burn. That's
Ooh.
That's a low one. It's not often you see that. Let's have a look at the action zones. And they've had all the possessions and not done anything with it. Neil off for Albertini. Right, okay, that didn't last long. Let's see in terms of how the goals came about. Would you believe it? Roberto Carlos scored on a free kick in Championship Manager. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Absolutely fantastic. Penalty. Francesco Toldo, no yellow card or anything when he's brought him down, so an innocuous one. And then Ronaldo chipping one in for Viduka. Really
It's got
solid.
to be 2 assists for Ronaldo. Let's see. Yeah, Steve, what do you make of that first half performance from your side? 3 shots, 3 goals. Can't really say
I'm
fairer than.
absolutely lying, honest, but look at the ratings though. I think that it tells a completely different story. Can I take Gattuso off for Youngberg and swap him and Ark around, please?
I think it's got to be like for like.
It's got to be like. We can't make tactical changes, unfortunately. That's only for injuries.
No, then we'll leave it as is. But yeah, I'm surprised with that there's so many. There's only 2 8s in there, considering. It makes me even happier, if I'm honest, having a look at them ratings, because they can only get better.
Yeah, and 2 assists for Ronaldo, 1 for being brought down in the area, and 1 more for him as well. Let's have a look at Northern Burn. Toldo with a 4 there. Samuel with a 5.
Oh god, I think that Francesco Toldo was sold from Dudley Hill to Northern Burn, and obviously still got some kind of affiliation for his old club. Because obviously he's not doing his job tonight for Ian and his Northern Burn lineup. And yeah, that has been an absolute disastrous first half. Zambrotta and Van Bommel, the only ones really kind of doing themselves justice. Up front, absolutely disastrous. Not what you'd expect from 2 of the marquee strikers in the game. Walter Samuel getting a 5, Materazzi getting a 6, both on yellow cards as well. It's not looking good. So
Kessman with 1 pass, unsuccessful. Yeah, that's not gone well at all. Steve, what you get in return for a Toldo? Do you remember?
An Elka.
All right,
It was
okay.
straight. I thought my attacking options were extremely light. Yeah, there's Eski, Sutton, Guiza, Dudu. I had nobody that I really thought can get the goals, and everybody that's in the team that's been up front have all been brought in. So
didn't he kick off? Lee Dimble says, didn't he kick off? I think they're still talking about Kessman and his passes. Imagine if you were kicking off, you had 1 pass and it was unsuccessful. Either way, let's kick off the second half so we can start so we can get this one done. So Steve's nerves can go back to normal, and we can see what happened to that Midlothian game. Hopefully it'll turn up. It's a bit of a weird one, to be honest.
I've never seen that before. It's definitely not having any of the tests.
Bit of a disallowed goal for Viduka there. I was going to say it's a quiet second half, and it had been up until that goal from Viduka, which was ruled out for offside. That would have been a icing on the cake for you there, Steve. But it looks as if it's going to sort of fizzle out a little bit, as it often does when one side is leading quite sort of substantially at half time. Couple of good chances there, and there's Kessman putting the critics to shame with a goal in the last minute. A little bit of a consolation for Northern Burn. They're still without a win this season. Dudley Hill, that's a second 3-1 win away from home of the season after 2 away games. So make of that what you will, but that's a good start for the start of the season. Not a lot happening in the second half, obviously. Martin's struggling more than I am calling Haggis Midlothian. Yeah, that's true, Fifey. Sorry about that. Let's see what Kessman did. He did touch the ball. Hit low from long range. Kessman got that. They played themselves up. Kessman getting man of the match. You see, that's him silencing the critics. Oh, bloody hell. So as you mentioned,
made one unsuccessful pass in the first half. That is actually incredible. That is.
Yeah. Well, he just needed Albertini behind him, and that's everything. That's everything you need to know about that performance. It was, I mean, it's Toldo's fault, isn't it? Really, the rest of the team okay. Alex not having the best of games. Everyone else doing okay. I mean, a little bit low by normal sort of Ian and BTEC standards, but Northern Burn, I mean, they'll probably come good eventually once the keeper finds his arms or whatever the issue is. Steve, I'll come to you instead. I mean, you mentioned at halftime that the team wasn't actually performing that fantastically well, and it wasn't in the second half either. But I mean, you'll take the 3 points, I guess.
Oh, massively, and two eights and a 3-1 away home. It feels a bit like I haven't played well enough to win like that again, which I think stands itself in a little bit of good stead. But then again, when I did play extremely well, I didn't get a result, so I might have to do a season of mediocrity to try and get somewhere. But no, I'm delighted with that win. Obviously, I were expecting not 3 points, if I'm honest, massively. I know you say everybody plays itself down, but game with game, I thought you would do a win, and it makes it even better. If I'm honest, if you look at them player ratings that haven't been that great to come away with that sort of win.
Well, we'll see what happens next for you guys. Obviously, two difficult away games at the start of the season, and you got 2 wins of them. As you mentioned there, you were pretty dominant in your home game, but didn't get a result in that one in the first game of the season. But 6 points on the board for you guys, and obviously in terms of getting to the playoffs, which has got to be every new manager's dream. You're not well on your way, but you've certainly made a good start of it, and we look forward to see more of Dudley. Let's see if we can. Oh, there we go. It was just, I don't know.
The relief I'm feeling right now, Martin, is incredible. So
I've
glad
never seen that happen before. I mean, I used to screw this up in the beginning all the time, but then it was clearly my fault that it went to a different game and not selecting the right manager. So, but yeah. I mean, we could have always obviously have just saved it under a different name after this and rerun this round. So, but you're right. Yeah, I was a little bit nervous as well. So, anyway, we've already covered the pre-match conversation around Lettersford and Haggis Hunter. So we'll jump straight into the actions. I'll get your prediction, Steve. Your prediction for this one: the Great Wall of the Rocks, or the Lettersford side under Hodges, one of the rear kind of instructions.
Yeah, well, obviously Destiny of Stone, Stone of Destiny. That's definitely got rocks written all over it. As that, I do fancy whether it be a draw, whether it be a win. I can't see him losing anyway.
Mm-hmm. And Ryan, what do you think of this one?
Tight game. I think obviously 2 relatively poor performances so far from Haggis, so they'll be looking at the performance as much as the result. I think Lettersford might do it. Obviously I'm hopeful for as many teams to get off the 0 wins mark as soon as possible, and this might be Lettersford's week.
Well, we'll kick this one off and we'll see how it goes. Good early start for Lettersford there. No goal coming of it. Haggis Hunters down the other end. I think it was Chiesa with a chance there, and now it's Estebaria coming forward. So retry and Estebaria coming forward. It's first 20 minutes of Lettersford, probably the better side. Lee Chun So coming forward as well.
He's obviously got Montella out and he's put Morientes in. I think he's still got Inzaghi on the bench. I think he's played down his attacking options, Hodgie, where he's got a lot of good choices in my opinion.
But it's Roy Keane. One of his choices is obviously Roy Keane, and he comes he gets off the mark there with a goal. And there's Morientes scoring on his debut. So yeah, good start for Lettersford. Good first half for them.
Robbie Keane, surely, Martin. I'm pretty sure it was
Robbie Keane. I'm gonna just rename them. We can't have people with the same surnames in the league. Oh, Robbie Keane. It was who I was thinking of. Maybe not what came out of my mouth, but a very entertaining first half in terms of chances, in terms of play. Not working out for the Haggis Hunters. This kind of wall 5 at the back. Unfortunately for them, there's not been strong enough to stop the Lettersford onslaught. There's got to be some poor performances in there. You got to feel 50-50 possession, fairly even. Let's have a look at how the goals came about. Canizares beat the ball away. Keane hit a fair shot, so a bit of a rebound thing. And Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique wasn't in the Super League last time round, was he?
No, he wasn't. Was a bit of a Barcelona legend. Come in. I don't think he was that solid last time. He got a 7 last time out. But yeah, I think there's a lot of these players that are in the Super League this time are kind of age 30 and plus who we might have really good couple of seasons out of because people aren't panicking about the age as much because they've got a larger squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luis Enrique, really, really solid first half.
And you mentioned Taibbi, obviously, whether he would improve, but he's not been given the chances. Hans-Jörg Butt, who's come in for Lettersford, obviously. Steve, what do you make of the Haggis Hunters there? The first half, I mean, completely outplayed. 13 shots, 8 on target from the other side. If we look at across the DMC line there, we've got who have we got? Mendieta getting a 6, Candela getting a 6, Vieira getting a 6, Sauri getting a 6. It's not working for them, is it?
No, definitely not. I think that's the first thing I looked at as well when you said the DMC line 6-6-6-6-6, and yeah, very difficult, especially when you're looking at Vieira as well. It doesn't matter how many arrows or this and other. You don't see that from him at half time very, very often. Tough one for him, really tough one for him. But conceding chances again, I think that's the one thing they have done. As much as obviously I were involved in an Aggies Midlothian supporter last season, but they need to do something to sort of break down the amount of chances they're conceding, because this sort of result could have happened against me. It could have happened last week against Ian.
Yeah, in terms of the amount of chances that they allow the opposition to have. Obviously, Neil, you're welcome to make a substitution if you feel that might be beneficial to you. As the co-manager, I'll let you do that. Is it a lack of creativity? I mean, last season they had Gattuso and Steven Gerrard in there in the defensive midfield area. Is it a lack of creativity, or should they have enough with Mendieta and Senoni? What do you think?
Yeah, for me, Gerrard is better than Zanoni. I know Zanoni is like one of well-known players that a lot of people like. Mendieta, for me, as much as he's a DM, whatever, he's a bit like Kieran Dyer, in my opinion, that he don't play well in DM. So, yeah, but Rosicky probably the most creative player they've got, looking at that, because obviously Larson's more of a going forward, getting goals guy. And Zauri at right wing back, I think he's more of a central DMC where you get better out of him. I don't know. They've done a lot of good business, and you can't. I can't see him not finishing in playoff sides, playoff places. So, but I think find some sort of form that are getting creating a bit more chances, and then they'll be all right.
Rock's definitely not impressed. I mean, I don't know if the real boss is here to see any of these comments. They will be available on YouTube later, obviously. But I don't feel as if he's been very supportive. But let's have a look and see if Haggis Hunters can turn this round in the second half, or if Lettersford will continue to dominate as they have done in the first half. Obviously, as you mentioned, Rosicky coming on, and he could perhaps provide some creativity. Larson with a chance, and Hans-Jörg Butt with a good save there, apparently. Luis Enrique still doing the damage for Lettersford coming forward. Robbie Keane,
Wow.
that's 3 for Lettersford now. As Haggis Hunters have been saving up for this one in the first 2 games, you kind of feel like with the 2 man of the match performances from the goalkeeper, there's definitely not one of them tonight for them. And there's Sauri getting injured. I'll put Simic on. I won't bother with the asking, considering there's like 1 minute left. And that's it.
That's kind of the comeuppance, in my opinion. I mean, Haggis have been poor those first 2 games, somehow managed to get 4 points out of it. And they've been poor again tonight and got their ass handed to them, really, haven't they? Lettersford have been dominant there throughout. And it's just been relatively one-way traffic. And 3 goals doesn't flatter Lettersford at all. It's a real hammering, in my opinion, that.
Yeah, and very interesting to see that formation for. There's Robbie Keane. Why is it? I can't even look at it. There's so many of the managers, all of you do the same fucking thing, that you don't reorganize the bloody players, so you get AMC's in the this is the fullback position, guys. Come on, please, give me a chance. Anyway, let's have a look and see what the last goal was. It was yeah, it was just Robbie Keane, and it was Luis Enrique. That's his second assist of the game. Then, Steve, what'd you make of that? Luis Enrique, big name in the Super League this season, apparently.
Yeah, well, he's one that I've always got at being 32, 33, 34. Yeah, a little bit later on, and he's always done okay. I would a bit surprised to see his name, if I'm honest, because as much as his stats, etc., you never see him in terms of, being involved for World Player of the Years, European Player of the Years, all sort of stuff. But I think I definitely think that formation that Aggie set up with were there to be got at, especially with what Odgie had set up with three AMCs. It probably nullified the old defensive midfield 5 from getting further forward, because he's flooded them with a lot of good players, and it's yeah, I think I agree with Ryan a bit as well. I think going a bit too defensive minded, and I think the squad's a lot better than that as well, and I don't think they need to do it. They could have quite easily come here, in my opinion, and got a win with the personnel they've got. But take me out to Odgervais, just gone all out, one at the back and not conceded a goal as well. Is
it's quite
takes a lot.
it's quite an achievement.
Yeah, very good, very good. Great stuff for him.
Bunch of key passes. Yeah, a bunch of key passes in there for them as well. And I mean, I'm not saying they haven't had success with it before with this particular formation up at the Haggis, but I just feel like you can't play 7 defensive players. Can you? I mean, does that belong in the Super League to play 7 defensive players? I mean, I guess, but I mean, it hasn't paid off for them tonight. Obviously, there's a distinct lack of creativity. I think in that lineup, I don't see a single. I mean, I know that Mendieta spoken about. He was absolute dog shit for Hools for 2 years. Never did anything in the Super League in the last 2 years. I just personally, I just don't see any creativity in those 7 players. And if you have 7 defensive players with 0 creativity between them, I mean, is that harsh, Ryan, or what do you reckon?
I tend to agree with you, and yet he's got two attacking midfielders and his striker. I mean, his strikers generally we've both kind of been in land talking about Haggis' strikers, and the strikers which aren't known for getting huge amounts of goals. Therefore, you've got to look further down the pitch at where you're going to get your goals from. Larson, again, he's not a creator, he's a goal scorer, and you say the same about back really. Again, he's one of these. He's a solid, okay goal scorer. So yeah, your kind of synopsis there is who's creating these goals, who's getting those assists. And I don't think there's no assist tonight. And bar playing long ball up the pitch, I don't see where these goals are going to come from. So it's something they've got to address at some point. I'm sure they've definitely got. I look at players like Roberto Baggio, I believe, in his reserves and things like that. It's something that I'd be looking at. If I was up there, I'd be looking at players who I feel like can develop, play, and create. And I definitely wouldn't be playing 5 across that defensive midfield line.
You could even have taken one of those 5 out, taken Sinoni or whoever, one of the central ones out, and put just an MC. Just put Rosicky. Rosicky can play an MC, can't he? 15 passing, 19 creativity. He would play well in an MC role, probably.
I feel like they've got him. Obviously, they've got Vieira in the draft. They've got hold of Mendieta and Zinoni, and they've got 2 solid wing backs, and they think, I've got to play all these players. Yeah. So, have they got too much of a good thing, and they're trying to shoehorn them all in there? Yeah, there's definitely something, because it's obviously something's not clicking there, and they seem reluctant to play a more expansive lineup.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Obviously, back to drawing board for them in terms of this result. We'll see who they've got coming up next. We'll have a quick look at that. So that's the results as they stand this evening. Not sure how that ended up as the last game. Leddersford against Haggis Hunters. So a scattering of home wins and away wins and a few draws. We finally started to see some goals.
Yeah, only one team not scoring. which is nice to see after a kind of a slow start a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and let's see what that means for the league table. Someone will already have had a little bit of a look there, and it's Lokomotiv Boston, who obviously one of
Wow.
the new boys. So we've got the two of the two of the top three teams are debutants at the moment, or our new manager. Debutants is a strong word, but our new managers, and yeah, good start to the season for Dudley. I mean, two very good wins away from home, and unlucky not to win the first game, to be honest, based on the performance that they put in. Boston will be very happy with that start, and Bostock as well. I mean, I know they only got a draw tonight, but they're still having a strong position. Is Scally the leading average rated player in the league? Says Potato Mourinho. Yes, I believe he is. He will still be on a 9, won't he? A 9 average. We can have a look at the player stats.
Have a quick look at the bottom there before Astor and Fools. Fools have got 4 goals though. It seems to be conceding, which seems to be their problem.
Yeah.
And scoring. I'm sure they'll. Yeah, it's very tight. It's obviously still very early as well. You've got 7 teams there, only with 1 win. So yeah. If I was down at the bottom, I wouldn't be feeling too disheartened so far.
No. I mean, Churchtown is in 6 on 4 points. I mean, even Astor is just 1 game away, and we're 23 games left of the season. So, but it'll be interesting to see how many if some of the teams start really putting away some goals. I mean, no one is averaging more than 2 goals a game, which is kind of low by Super League standards. But we'll see, and everyone conceding a fair bit as well. So apart from Bostock, Stanley, maybe Cassels is doing okay. Quick look at the player stats, average rating. Yeah, Neil Scally and Ryan Giggs, Fabian Barthez, Dudley. I was just checking to see if any Dudley players up there. The closest we get. Oh, here they come. Edgar Davids, Tony Adams. But yeah, it's all about Neil Scally. Does he have 3? No, he's only got 1 man of the match award. I don't know who said he had 3. But yeah, that's our average rating, and I think our top scorer. There can't be any doubt. It's going to be. He still pops up as Tomadera here. My goodness, it's Antonio Lopez, obviously. Hadn't predicted Elba to be up there as well, but obviously that's it's early days. Let's have a quick look at the fixtures before we close out for the evening. Steve, what do you make of your next game? You've got Lettersford, on-form Lettersford, coming to visit you. Home game for you after 2 good away wins. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I think obviously after the first home game, whether I'd have got 2 wins after that, I certainly, if I'd have strolled that game, I don't think I'd have got 2 wins after. I actually think the best thing for me were Odgie's team doing what they did tonight, in a way. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, and only about 20% confident that I might get some sort of result there.
Well, we'll see. We've got a cracker of a game coming up with Lokomotiv Boston against Bostock Stanley, first versus second. So yeah, but Lokomotiv Boston could put some distance between themselves and the chasing pack earlier on, or Bostock could reclaim their first spot with a result here. Ryan, any other games that stand out for you as being particularly interesting? Hools on a tricky trip trying to get their first win. Northern Burn and the Devils face off. They are used to battling out at the bottom of the table, the 2 managers. Anything else that you feel could be one for the neutrals?
They're the bottom 2 games are the kind of ones which I'm keeping my eye on. There's actually much Slough versus Hools. Obviously, each game becomes more and more kind of important for Hools to kind of get off the mark. Sloughs weren't that great tonight, so see if they can bounce back. Fifey, after a promising week 1, has had a couple of weeks where he's conceded goals, and Ian's not got his first win yet. So, and he got absolutely trounced tonight. I think he'll be the first one to say, even if it was for with dodgy keeper. So he'll be looking to bounce back as a trip there. Also see if Alf changes it up. He's got a tough game this week after a kind of a poor performance-ish. He's got a tough game away at Gazelles as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's still so early. So as much as you kind of highlighting Locomotive versus Bostock, do you mean there could be, and I'm not, I mean, there's no suggestion here whatsoever, but there could end up being 11th and 12th at the end of the season. we are just 3 games in. So it is literally all still to play for.
Yeah, definitely is. We'll see how many. Last question for you guys this evening. How many narrow formations will we see next week in the Super League in total? Steve, what do you think? There's not many left. Will we see any narrow formations left next week?
2 maximum.
Two,
2 maximum.
two maximum. What do you think, Ryan? Any narrow formations coming out for you?
I think there's still space for 1 or 2, and like I kind of said earlier, these things will come back into fashion. There'll definitely be a week down the line where we'll see 4 or 5 back, and 2 of them will be playing each other. But yeah, I know what you mean. At the moment, they aren't the most in trend, and they are getting beat. So
yeah, it will be interesting to see if anyone can come up with some good individual player instructions, and and we'll see. Every team got dished out now. 178 wingers. Yeah, well, you need to have your options. You need to have your options, Mac, and that's what you got to have. Anyway, no co-commentators curse for Steve Wright tonight. Ryan, as usual, thank you very much for joining. Steve, the same to you. Hope you enjoyed your first night on the show.
Yeah, I did very much so, especially with result. I think.
Yeah, well, that's always.
Regardless of result, we were good.
Very, very good. Okay, well, thank you very much for everyone watching. Thanks, Steve and Ryan, and we'll obviously be in touch with the schedule for the next round of fixtures. Good night, everyone.
Cheers, Jen. Very much. Cheers.